Hey everyone, this is Jacqui Cooper with JCooperTravels, and I want to welcome you back to this episode and to thank you for liking and subscribing on JCooperTravels. So I have a really fun and special guest on today, but before I introduce him, I want to share with you a little bit more about my journey in case you're new to JCooperTravels. I have been doing the talk show and a few other talk shows that I do for the past year and a half or two. And I started doing the talk shows because I kept meeting people on all my social media that I felt like their stories needed to be shared and told. And so that's exactly why J Cooper Travels was created, to talk about both where do we go around the world, because I love to travel, as well as how do we travel in life and who are we connecting with. And, many times our career paths change and we start one way. For example, I'm a lawyer, but I navigated into special ed teaching, and I'm also doing all these other projects that, as you kind of go down the feed, you'll hear and learn more about what I'm having fun doing in my afterlife, so to speak. So today I'm going to be introducing someone that, again, I met through the social media world, and Zoom is wonderful. Even though COVID kind of shifted our perspective of how we do our work, it's also broadened our world, and we're able to connect with people now that maybe we wouldn't have reached out to. So Jeff, welcome. How are you doing today?
Well, thank you for having me. Pleasure.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to have you share your story, because I know when we first started talking, we were talking for a long while, and you have a fascinating background. But why don't you go ahead and introduce your current business, what you're doing, and your website, so people can connect with you. And for those that might not have a paper and pen, don't worry, the information will be in the block below. We're going to mention it a few times during the show, so you can get a paper and pen, and that way you can reach out and connect with Jeff. So go ahead, I'll let you introduce.
All right. As you said, my name is Jeff Meltzer. I'm the owner of Meltzer Media Productions here in New York City, right in Midtown Manhattan, for the last 36 years. I'm one of the acknowledged creators of the modern day infomercial. We have executed 2,000 campaigns, selling everything from a $10 item to a $10,000 item, whether it's a product or service of every category that known to man. We are a turnkey business that works with inventors, mid-sized companies who are looking to expand their media and marketing and their reach around the globe, not only in the United States, and obviously Fortune 500 companies. Our biggest client is a $100 billion client. So we are truly the direct to consumer, or DRTV, direct response TV experts, one of the foremost in the United States. And we are a turnkey business. So basically everything that you need, whether from manufacturing, because we manufacture products here in the United States and in China. We deal with every major direct response media producer, telemarketing service, web providers, digital media buyers, fulfillment companies, you name it. Financial pro forma consulting, we do it here. So that's a small synopsis. And we also own our own products, one of which, our main website, is meltzermedia.com. That's Meltzer like seltzer with an M, media.com. And buysmokestack.com. Smokestack is a barbecue product, barbecue smoke flavoring product, basically finely minced, certified wood mixed with organic herbs and spices that go into a patented smoke container. You put it on any grill, charcoal, electric, or gas, and in 20 minutes, it smoke flavors your food. And we've been selling that all over the country for the last 2 or 3 years. So that's another thing that we're doing, along with representing a number of other people's products, because we have a network of sales reps in retail, online, home shopping, global. We're there.
So how did you get involved with all of this? I know that you shared your story with me prior to us going on the recording. How did you get started in this?
Great question. I'm asked all the time. It's a little odd knowing that you're in a business that didn't exist really when you started. I was a Madison Avenue advertising, producing, editing guy that worked for major ad agencies around the country that obviously are still around. And one of my clients and friends decided that he was going to start making 30-minute commercials. And we're like, what? He said, cable was deregulated. This is in 1987, 5. Was it 1985? Cable was deregulated. You could buy a half hour on TLC or Discovery for $150. And he said, I'm going to start making these things, and I'm going to license or make my own products and advertise them. I said, what can you do in 30 minutes? We are now using 30 seconds or 60. He goes, everything you can't say in that 30 or 60 seconds,
Right.
we have plenty of time to do in 30 minutes. So that's how it all started. I am the first guy to ever do a skincare infomercial, women on a couch doing testimonials of before and afters, how it's changed their lives and made everybody, love them more, love themselves more. That's us. And a number of other first-time type infomercials. Sports Illustrated, we did 1,000 commercials of every football phone, sneaker phone, blooper videos, Time Magazine, the launch of Entertainment. Those were just the beginning ones. So it just evolved from that. And we have not stopped. And I love doing it. And I love helping people. And it's surprisingly affordable to do. My expression is, it's the fastest, cheapest way to reach the most people in the shortest period of time if you have a product or service, period.
So what was the, how do I phrase this? The most fun product or service that you've worked on, or the most unusual?
That's in book number 2 of mine. But the fun ones are people who understand the entrepreneurial process and the struggle it is to get there. And anybody who owns a business or is trying to launch a product or try to advertise their service understands this. But for people who are outside, even capital, we deal with venture capital people. It is a long, stressful road, but it continues to move forward. And the last 10 yards are really the toughest. But for those people who believe in their products, are behind it, and don't vary from the original plan, their chances are 50-50, which means you do everything right, and it's up to, you get it to the point where the customer or a consumer says, I want it or I don't. Then you have done everything right, and whether it sells or not, you have at least that satisfaction. You have brought your product to market in a proper way that millions of people could buy. Now, success, I mean, we've had so many, we've sold $1.5 billion in sales, and we've done, Tybo, and we did the Amish fireplace, the heat surge Amish fireplace, which sold massive amounts. And that's incredible. That's a book in itself. Shooting Amish people is rare. But it really came down to the fact that when we tested 3 different campaigns, and we said it was handmade by Amish people in America, there was a massive trust factor there. And that's why people were buying this product. So you find out a lot of really interesting things, and it's through trial and error and win and lose. But if you keep at it and you have something good, and the price and the marketplace, and if it's all right, and you know this beforehand, and you do your due diligence, then your chances are really pretty good to get there. So, and through that, as I said, we've sold every kind of kitchen, hardware, sporting goods, exercise, travel. I mean, just anything that you can imagine. And you're in the travel business, I know, or partly.
Yeah.
And we did a travel. Actually, it was the first travel infomercial entertainment series for the Travel Channel, which ran 2 years. It ran 3 times a day, and we sent, that would probably rate as my favorite. We sent all of our friends on vacation, single people, couples, married, families, on all of these different destinations. We had partners, travel partners, ships, airlines, resorts, restaurants, sent them to those, filmed them, made a TV show out of it, and during the commercials, you could buy that vacation.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
The travel, it was called, Vacation Store. That was the name of the series.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how a lot of what you created has been duplicated in different ways over the years, just because you created the model for it. You mentioned a book. Have you been writing anything?
No, I have not. I actually asked. I mean, it would take me, I would have to take a year off probably to do it. And
Yeah.
the stories of the people I've known in the industry for 30 years, we've all shared. We just got together, a small group of us for the first time in 2 years, and we have massive amounts of history on different things. So it's a large compilation of the evolution of how the industry formed and how it rose up. It was at its peak, it was 350 to 400 billion dollars globally, still very, very high in hundreds of billions. The types of products that nobody thought you could sell, like anything over $20, which is now very common, obviously. Where it was being sold, the internet. I mean, when we started, you could only call an 800 number. And the advent of streaming video or beyond 56K modems where you could put your commercial and put it on a website. I mean, we predated that. So once that came, that opened up a whole thing. And now, of course, the competition of using direct to consumer advertising to supplement your digital advertising and everything else, and not relying on it to be your sole source of income. So yeah, it's a lot of things. I did actually just consult on a movie that is being made, not on me, but on.
I was gonna say.
No. It is being made about a type of character that they needed a outline on in terms of, this person or a person. So that was cool. I was I was called as a consultant, and that should be really interesting. I mean, Joy Mangano, the inventor of the mop, the swivel mop, I can't remember. Oh gosh, she's had her own TV shows, and she has one on now. So she's already, and she had the movie Joy. So it's been done, and there'll be more coming.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't you go ahead and mention your website again so people that are listening can definitely reach out to you?
MeltzerMedia.com. Free consultation for anything, product, services, or even advice. We turnkey everything. There is no price, ceiling or floor. We work within what you have to see if we can make it. And truthfully, we turn down more stuff than we take, because if it's not realistic, we will be the first to tell you that.
That's very true. That's very true. I know I ran some ideas by you and you were saying yes to this, no to that, and maybe who knows.
and listen, all these years, I don't know a good product from a bad product. I do know what goes into a good product. And I also know I have a walking history of what has sold. We also do get that data every single day. Our industry has turned from a creative and, unique, product industry into a data-driven consumer industry, as well as a media targeted industry to find those predisposed buyers who like your particular product, because trying to reach all people for all things is just not an option anymore in today's society, because of the breakup of television, cable, internet, streaming, retail, whatever else is out there. It's the pie is broken. So you need to select the piece that you want in order to reach those people. And that's where we target. And that's the key to success in selling direct to consumer these days.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. It's a very big area, and anyone who's out there. So you had mentioned at the beginning, in terms of the categories of individuals or organizations that you help, you had mentioned a list. You talked about inventors, you talked about companies. Do you prefer to work with inventors, or what's the area that you seem to gravitate towards?
Well, it's really what gravitates to us. So,
Yeah.
but because we're obviously getting called, but but we do love inventors because of their enthusiasm, and again, many times they'll come up with something that just hasn't been put out. It's a better mousetrap, or it's exciting, to be able to do it, but the struggle to get there has to be explained. And even if you explain it, when you're there's a bell curve that I could literally put a diagram on of emotions. It's an emotional bell curve: excitement, enthusiasm, trepidation, self-doubt, fear. I mean, just like every emotion goes through this bell curve as you go through it. And it hits obviously an inventor who has much more to lose than say a company that has, a $50 million budget. So we have a show running now that's reaching, millions of people in the healthcare industry, and it helps a ton of people. And it's a fantastic show that's totally transparent, that's completely like regulated, and people are going to get free information in order to make sure that their healthcare needs are done. That's very satisfying. But on the other hand, seeing your product on a shelf that you did and created in your packaging, and if it's manufactured by us or marketed by us, that's, for everybody. I mean, it's a Shark Tank thing, Shark
That's
Tank
right.
is an interesting show. It's not one that we have had Shark Tank products before. It's a TV show. I'll just put it to you that way. They show you the good parts. They don't show you the bad ones. So that's why people like it. And it doesn't really happen that way, but it's okay. That's what TV is all about, entertainment.
It is. And it's also another way to tell stories, but like you said, it is a TV show. So one of the things that I always do on the show is one tip, one place. And I know that you're in New York, which is a favorite location of mine. What place would maybe not be on someone's radar that you would suggest that people check out and go and explore?
Well, that's a tough thing since
I know.
I have been to New York many times from my friends since I'm born and bred here. And, again, having to do with sights and sounds and everything else. But let's just go to our passion here. We're foodaholics. We love food. We're gourmands. We've eaten, in every major place, and there's tons of history. And I have been eating in a steakhouse here in New York that has been featured on a million shows. It's one of the oldest in the United States. It's called Keen's Steakhouse, Keens. It's on West 36th Street. It actually was one door away from my studio for 13 years. So that was a dangerous place. They refused to serve me after coming 3 times within 24 hours. But it's an unbelievable place that's been there since the mid 1800s. It has served people like Enrique Caruso and Teddy Roosevelt and McCarthy and Babe Ruth and every kind of sporting and entertainment or politician dating back to Lincoln, who also was there. There is a ton of memorabilia, and there are over 100,000 of these clay pipes that line the ceiling of this, incredible building, which is their restaurant. Which were a short story is longshoremen, when they came in the 1800s or turn of the century to eat, they would bring these pipes that are about this long, thin clay pipes. And on the way back, they would have to put them in their knapsacks, so they couldn't. And some guy decided to put a hook on the wall and store it there. And that started the tradition. And now there are over 100,000 pipes from a ton of famous people and people who, have been, who 100 years ago put them there. So it's,
Wow, that's
I
awesome.
highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. And they serve other things other than meat. So for those of the people who don't eat meat, you can have an insanely good meal there. Fresh every day. Love them. Great owners. I mean, just incredibly well-run restaurants. So that's that. That's my tip.
All right. Well, I know when I go visit, I will both look you up as well. Let them know that you recommended. So that was the one place. What about the one tip that you might suggest to people who are trying to figure stuff out?
I got to say, my job these days is not marketer, TV producer, media producer, video producer, turnkey, guy. I am a therapist / all those things because it's such a dilemma for most people because they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
They don't know who to call. There aren't many people who do what I do in terms of turnkeying the entire process. We're going to get transparent, information about making your product, what's on the marketplace, what is a financial pro forma that makes sense and not something that somebody makes up pie in the sky and says, look, if we sell 1,000, we'll make 10,000. No, it doesn't work that way. It has to be based on real numbers. So, the tip, of course, is to try to find people who do it. There are a very select few of them. There are a lot of stories, horror stories of people getting taken and inventor helpers or inventor organizations or whatever they say they are. But ultimately, you want to make sure that somebody is transparently going to give you the information and a budget in writing with some sort of breakdown of where the money will go. So if you decide to do it, then you'll at least not have something coming out of left field going, oh, it's going to be another 10,000. And it wasn't in the budget. No, after 36 years and thousands of inventors, we know how we treat people's money, whether it's 100 billion or a inventor, as if it's our own. And everything is documented, and we love input from the people that are coming to us. And service businesses, truthfully, there are several local ones here in New York that we see, and they are benefiting greatly with direct response TV. Big tip is go national, not local. You pay less for national eyeballs, and you get a lot more of them, and you get a lot more data, and you'd be surprised at who may like your product, who you think, and who actually buys it. But if you go local, then you get a very limited scope of actually who is interested in buying your product, and that is, you're end up cheating yourself.
Yeah, that's a very good tip, because a lot of times I don't want to say thinking local is small, because it's not, but sometimes we limit ourselves when we think just geographically instead of broadening it, because then it means that you are also reaching a larger market of those who might actually want your product. So,
well, if you look at, let's just say if you're in a local area and there's 100,000 or 200,000 possible people, you may pay $4 or $5 to reach that person. But if you did a budget that's slightly larger, you could reach 1 million people at a cost of under $1. So I know a lot of those people may not be the right ones, but you will get a lot more of the right ones for a lot less money.
No, I agree. I like how you're thinking. Any last minute thoughts that you'd like to share? I know you've given us a lot of great wisdom, and also shared more about your story, and there's so much there to unpack. Any last minute thoughts for those that are listening?
Well, this is the time for entrepreneurialism because of what's happened over the last couple of years. There are more people now deciding, you know what, I worked for somebody for X amount of years, or I don't want to go to an office anymore, or I want to start my own business. And that's fantastic, because this country is based on small business and on entrepreneurs, which is, I never really fit into the corporate world, or truthfully, I never had a job. This is it. So, I followed what it was. I tripped many times. I've been up, I've been down, but truthfully, no regrets. And the fact is that if you do your due diligence and you want to expand your business, start a business, or sell online, I mean, even that is just a black hole of places you can fall into. This is your time to do it. It's never been better. But it has to be done the right way. And if you do it piecemeal, you try and cut corners, you're going to get what you pay for. So have your plan in place, have it as a turnkey, which is why we have been a turnkey and recommended as a turnkey from all of the other, smaller segmented businesses that I mentioned, because we connect with these businesses on a regular basis. They are overseen by us. And you're not dealing, it's like trying to build a house by hiring each person by themselves. It will never happen, right? There's always going to be a gap. But if you have a good general contractor who can really put it all together and show it to you, I'd say go for it. This is your moment. I
love it. One more time, what is your website?
MeltzerMedia.com, MELTZER, media, MEDIA, one word.com. And I greatly appreciate it, and totally fun being here.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you've been on, Jeff. And for everyone who's listening, definitely like and subscribe. And check out all the other episodes. There are many, many different topics involved with J. Cooper Travels. And I know that we're going to be connecting with Jeff again as he tells stories about some of his clients even.
Let me just put in a small plug for you. It is shows like this that do get the word out. And over the last 2 years, I have rarely done these. I usually speak or do live, and of course that wasn't possible. But I've been doing accelerator groups and Titans and all these major guys who are in, or people are paying a lot of money to get this information. But it's people like you and shows like this that give those people who wouldn't have a clue as to how to reach people like us. And my hat is off to you, because it is how, to generate income. It is how people become more successful. And it's about who you know, not what you know. Right.
And yeah, and I appreciate that. I mean, again, it's all about the grassroots and connecting and networking. So everyone, definitely reach out to Jeff, and we'll be talking soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Great being here.